You are afraid. You're afraid to say the wrong thing. I think that's it. My name is Gigi if you're new here, and if you're one of my 426 subscribers, welcome back to yet another video. You already know what it is. I haven't done one of these critical think pieces for a long time, but I just had a conversation and I want to share it with you guys and share what I actually discovered and why it's so awkward, or why white people make it so awkward to discuss race. Before we're gonna do that, it's a deep hill because this is gonna be one. Before we're gonna jump into the video, most definitely don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to keep updated with everything that I post. And I'm gonna tell you what I found out, but hey, what do I know? So currently it is 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm filming this video. Yes, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I just had a conversation, pretty long one, about this topic, and I just want to share it with you guys because I think I discovered why it's so awkward to discuss race with white people. I'm going to give you a bit of a backstory about myself, what I experienced. I'm going to talk about the conversation itself and my findings on why I think it's awkward for white people to talk about race, or why I think they shouldn't be. So let me say this right. I'm a mixed race, light-skinned black person. My mother is half Surinamese, half Dutch, and my biological father is Moroccan. The partner of my mom is Dutch, so I had a whole bunch of white people around me growing up. I grew up in a predominantly white environment. I went to predominantly white high school, and I unlearned a lot of my own toxic behaviors. I really decolonized my mind, like Khadija says it.
Diversify your feeds. Decolonize your Instagram feed. But for real, how boring is it to constantly be told same thing from the same types of people? You know, like what the heck is up with that?
And what that entails just starting to think critically about not only my surroundings, but about myself, my way of thinking. And I did that about, I think 5 years ago. Since I moved to Amsterdam, I really started working on myself. And once I plopped myself out of my natural habitat or my comfort zone, I actually learned a whole bunch of stuff in lectures. I went to Black Pride in London. I also went to a whole lot of talks here in Amsterdam during Black History Month panel talks, and actually learned a whole bunch of stuff about our history, the system we live in, and what that means. It is a lot. It is a lot. It's really a lot. But that's what you need to do if you really want to do the work. And if you really talk the talk, you need to walk the walk. Growing up, I didn't know that my mindset and the people I had around me was totally unhealthy. To be honest, growing up, I'm not saying white people are unhealthy, but a lot of prejudge and racism I was actually exposed to at a very young age. Let me just say off the bat, I see my privilege as a light-skinned person. I know someone is talking to you right now with a perm in their hair and with blonde hair, but don't get it twisted, I'm very pro-black. I've always been very proud of that part of me. I most definitely see the society that we live in and the social construct that is set up for people that are not white. And I think that's all where it started, to just recognize there is a system in place. And what I'm saying by seeing my privilege is that I see colorism in this society and that I see bigger picture racism. This country is built on a system that is designed to systematically oppress black people, white supremacy. And what I'm not saying that I'm not free. I'm not saying that I'm not in a free country and that white people are just this beacon of wealth and everything they don't need to work for. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is that I see things like the whole tax scandal in this country, where people that were not white were systematically put in a disadvantage because of their last name. I do recognize that certain friends said certain things to me oh, you're not one of those, or maybe you shouldn't go to a black high school, which I recognize what kind of damage that did, and how much, just so you know how much work I had to do to be at the place where I'm at right now. I don't hate white people. That would mean that I inherently hate myself, because that is also a part of me that I can't deny. And this is a very heavy topic, I know, but it shouldn't be as you just need to do the work. I want to say it's not that complicated. It is a complex issue. So I had a talk with someone. I was watching a panel and this person was like, oh, where's this panel about? And it was about cancel culture. And of course, it was about cancel culture in the fashion industry. Like, for example, when a designer only casts white models, that they're like canceled, or if they only like cast black models and the whole like crew backstage or the whole like head office is white, it's just a little bit like iffy, and people do get canceled for that. And if it's like how people could work on actually bringing diversity into the workplace genuinely, instead of just like ticking a box. So I had a conversation with someone and I noticed it was very awkward. This person was white, and I noticed that when I want to discuss racial issues, social injustice with people that are not of color, or well, white people, it usually gets cut off, goes bad, or it's just like super awkward. And I just think that they're afraid to say the wrong thing. They shouldn't be afraid to say the wrong thing. If you are willing to learn, and that I think that is like the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway is that if you're willing to learn, it starts at making mistakes. The point where I learned was start seeing my own mistakes, start noticing that, wait, this is not cool, and actually doing the work, doing research, seeing that certain like history, going to panel talks and discovering that certain like parts of history are rewritten or written in favor of white people because of the system that we live in, because of white supremacy, because of racism, because of colorism. And honestly, guys, like I was raised with the motto like we are all the same, and my aunt and my mom would always tell me like if we were back in the day of slavery, we would all like be on the same tree, even to my brother and my sister that are white passing. And that really resonated with me, and I really hate when people say like, oh, you're like pulling a race card, or you want to pull a race card. Honestly, I really don't want to really see one another as equal, most definitely, but it would be ignorant to not recognize that a lot of like a vast majority of the wealth of the country that I live in was made of slave trade. We're good at like trading spices and stuff, but our queen still has a slave on the carriage, and that seeps into so many aspects of life and the social economic system in this country, just the world in general that we live in. And I think that white people should not be afraid to make mistakes, because I mean, I also make mistakes, and that is where growth happens. And having these uncomfortable conversations and seeing, maybe unlearning some of your own behaviors is where like the interesting part is. Because if we actually as a society, I feel like you as a person want to dismantle racism, it starts at recognizing that there is a certain system and that there is a system that you're benefiting of. It's awkward for some people, I noticed, to just even like admit that, because then they feel like they admit that their existence is wrong. It isn't. I mean, it's just a part of history that we cannot deny, such as it is a part of history that even though I believe that what my mother said, we would all be on the same tree, there was a difference between the shades of black and the positions during slavery. Like lighter skinned people, or like the mulattoes as they call them, they would work within the house, or maybe like mixed race slaves would work in the house. Dark skinned, brown skinned slaves would work on the field. Light skinned people and their proximity to whiteness also seeps in today, and a lot of aspects of interactions I have. I noticed that a lot of people in the past felt very comfortable to say certain things around me, or even our relatives that would say like, you shouldn't call yourself that because you're not black, in which, like, you know what I mean? That is something that, yeah, you need to recognize. And I think those conversations, or like checking those family members, especially because I maybe need to film another video about that, but especially as a biracial person within your own family, there's a lot of like dismantling you need to do. But recognizing that and wanting to have those awkward conversations, wanting to check those family members, wanting to check yourself is really where it all starts. And that is why white people shouldn't be afraid of talking about race or being wrong, wanting to tiptoe around the topic, because I feel like it's only beneficial to you as a person if you genuinely want to learn. I've met a lot of people that also just generally don't want to learn and are just like totally not interested in the topic because they don't face it on a day-to-day. The way I experience it is even like different than other family members that are dark-skinned, just acknowledging that is where the real work starts. And having those conversations and admitting that sometimes you were wrong it hurts. It fucking sucks. But how do you want to grow if you are not willing to make mistakes? You know what I mean? So white people, don't be scared about making mistakes or saying the wrong thing. I mean, don't outright go out in the world and call somebody like a jigaboo monkey. I'm not saying that. But if you believe in equality as much as I do, it is necessary. Because if you can like look up the new iOS features, why wouldn't you, But it is necessary if you do, because a lot of stuff that I learned in the past years, I really genuinely never had in school. Did you know that when slaves were set free, there was the slave owners had a debt and the government would pay that? I need to Google it, but it wasn't that long ago. I swear to God, not longer than 10 years ago. England just paid that debt off. So if you're saying I know a lot of people that say also slavery is in the past and we should just move forward. I know, I most definitely want to do forward, but come on, dude. What? In the past 10 years, slave owners and the families of the relatives of those slave owners and this was taxpayers' money. Black people paid slave owners' debt. It wasn't longer than a decade ago. If it is, excuse me, it wasn't maybe 20 years, not even in my lifespan still. Another fun fact I learned during a lecture that in the Second World War, there are actually a lot of people of color. And do we see any of those videos? Do we see any of us reflected in any Second World War movie at all? Those are the little things that are rewritten and are so intense to realize that how successful this system of racism is in the world, because it was made to prop certain people, and that says a lot. And when I learned that fact, I was like, well, that's super fucked up. Come on. And that just shows you that stuff you don't get to learn in school, and you don't get to learn that way of critical thinking, and that is a way of critical thinking that we need to learn ourselves. If we genuinely want to know and genuinely want to have a conversation about it, we need to face the facts and actually do the research and go out of your way, because I'm not gonna teach you. I feel I had some conversation and people were like, yeah, but why don't you teach me I want to learn? Me too, bitch. Me too. Did you teach me? No. Go out, grab YouTube, whatever. Love Grapevine. Watch a lot of Grapevine. They have panels about race, about feminism, about blackness and what it means, about colorism as well. I'm gonna link it down below. Khadija is also a very, very, very good channel to just watch a more kind of light approach to very heavy topics.
Not living in a country that is war-torn, don't have family there, it's much easier for you to detach because there is a physical distance from that situation and a privileged distance. If you are a light-skinned, green-eyed supermodel, yes, you are Black, you have felt discrimination, you have been one of the first people to open doors for a lot of Black girls, but you still occupy a space of privilege that is so removed from somebody that is not type of conventionally beautiful body or have that conventionally beautiful face, someone who is darker skinned, all of these different types of intersecting identities.
Decolonizing your Instagram feed is a quote that I really love from her, and really how to think more critical about these topics. I will link all the channels below, and if that is not enough, you should most definitely, and I'm indirectly giving you the tools to do it, but read the book Why I Don't Talk About Race with White People Anymore. It is from the writer Reni Eddo-Lodge, and she just wrote actually her frustration with why she's not discussing race with white people anymore.
I thought maybe 50 people would read it. If I didn't even anticipate that, to be honest. I think that piece of writing took on a life of its own because I spoke about what feels like a banging your head against a brick wall power dynamic that seems to happen all around the world.
Thank you guys for watching this video. Most definitely don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to keep updated with everything that I post. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.